right, welcome back to Versus Live. My name's Corey Baumeister.
And I'm Ross Merriam.
And we got Rob in the booth. Say what's up, Rob.
What's up, Rob?
Rob will be taking all your questions, comments, concerns, and burns. Make sure to tag at Star City Games so he will get his favorite comments sent over to us. All right, so we are playing ourselves a little Kaldheim. Are you getting chilly?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, it's feeling kind of cold in here, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it's coming from both of our decks.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
It's definitely getting colder.
Oh, yeah. Snow Mountain, of course.
Oh, and and I'm all snow. There's snow covered islands. We're feeling the snow.
It's also 8 degrees outside, I feel. No.
Yeah.
All right, so what Ross is alluding to here is
Rob had no part in this shit.
Rob had no part in it, absolutely not. What Ross is alluding to here is we're having a little snow mirror here for our second match.
Some people are calling it a snowdown.
Or a snowball fight. We probably shouldn't throw these cards. I don't think SCG would like
snow
that.
Emoji.
Yeah, there we go.
Snow apocalypse.
But we are playing extremely different decks for both being snow, and I mean, modern you don't necessarily see the diversity, right? If you're playing Snowlands, you're probably playing a specific, kind of deck. You're playing Quaddle and, maybe Astrolabe before. But in Standard, if we're going to see some snow decks, there's going to be a huge variety because there is, some Sultai snow cards that seem kind of pushed. There's some mono red cards that seem kind of pushed, or not even mono red, but just, Frostbite.
I think you're generally going to see monocolored snow decks, or you're going to see Sultai snow decks. Because that's where a lot of the snow payoffs are centered.
I think there's a world that there's like a Simic or something, though, for what it's worth. Just like, and maybe
when I say Sultai, I mean multicolored within those 3 colors.
Sure.
Any 2-color combination there falls under that.
Agreed.
I don't think you're going to see like a Gruul snow deck.
Yes.
Nobody's casting Frostbite next to Jorn.
Yeah, probably not. So the deck I'm starting with is Todd Anderson's mono red deck, which he wrote about that went live yesterday. If you want to check it out, he, a big fan of what mono red can be. Really trying to be a buzzkill now. Be like, all right, here's all these cool decks. Do you forget about mono red when Uro's gone? Because this is the first set that is coming out, on Thursday here on Arena and stuff. That mono red always used to be dominant week 1 until Uro was printed, and then that whole phase of Magic was just erased. This is going to be the first time where mono red, I think, will be able to run free again, and you'll be able to really have success with mono red early on, like we've seen in the past without Uro. And I think this deck is no exception. I think this is a very strong build of mono red. I think Bergie is really Bergie-licious, and I want to see how good it is.
I think Bergie, there's definitely a ton of potential there. I'm a big fan of the card as well. You're also playing Tundra Fumarole. This is the first we've seen of this card, a card both of us like. I'm not as high on it as others, but I see the potential there. And I think if the metagame moves in a way where Tundra Fumarole is killing things that cost 3 and 4 mana consistently, it looks really good. I also really like it with Bergie.
Same.
The idea of going turn 3 Bergie, turn 4, make my 4th land drop, Tundra Fumarole something, make 4 mana now, 1 from Bergie, 3 from Fumarole, and then have 5 essentially, and playing Goldspan Dragon, and then attacking with Dragon. Right? Now you have a treasure and the red floating from the Bergie trigger off the dragon. That's 3. If you had played any creature on the first 2 turns, you can now cleave them.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of webs that intertwine. The only thing that this deck's really missing is like an Experimental Frenzy type card.
Which is the backside of Bergie.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess
you're not missing that at all. That just came along for free.
Purpose. I just keep thinking, I'm like, God, Bergie is just so insane on the front side. Why even turn it over? But trust me, we are ready to.
You got your Harnfells.
Yeah. So this deck really could just have everything.
Just the threat of that. If you have creature Bergie and your opponent lets you untap, you are threatening Tundra Fumarole 1 creature, play a dragon, attack, cleave you.
Yeah. And I think the last point I want to make about Bergie is the one thing I really love about the card is when you have that kind of all-powerful legend that's 3 or 4 in an aggro deck, you're like, okay, if it's busted, I'm going to play 4, but most of the time you're like, it's pretty awkward. But now this is a legendary creature to an extent. It has a flip side that you can play if you draw 2 of them. And that's what I really love, that the second copy is no longer dead when they just don't kill your Bergie, which I don't think is going to happen often. That card's going to have a target on its head every time you cast it. But if it lives and you're able to cast the other side, I think it's really, really good.
And this is a matchup where if it lands, it's going to have a good chance of living. Mono Blue doesn't have a lot of removal. I've got some Raven forms in the deck, so I do have a way to take it off. I can bounce with Petty Theft. So a couple of ways to deal with it. Other than that, like, I'm somewhat aggressive myself. I mentioned Frost Augur before the break. We still got Casimas with the Omen Keel. I've cut the clunky Alruns. So I think this is just a more streamlined version of the deck you saw a week and a half ago. Graven Lore is still there. Gadwick's still there as card advantage late. Got a bunch of good counter spells in the deck. Neutralize and Essence Scatter and Negate. And I've even got some Annuls in the sideboard, which should be helpful in this matchup.
Nice.
Just to try to be as efficient as possible. And then the big things for me is that once we get to the sideboard, I think I've got some good sideboard cards for aggressive decks. We'll tackle that when we do the sideboarding, but for now, let's get into it.
Well, let's have let's go sledding, I guess, huh?
Let's go for a sleigh ride.
Let's go for a sleigh ride. All right, I'm going to be going first.
No matter, we can build a snowman. Da 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 da. White as snow.
Something.
We'll say no man.
Okay, I can Beautiful singer.
Sleigh Ride is my favorite carol.
Just beautiful.
Not a great hand in an aggressive matchup. I think if we were playing a slower matchup, this would be fine. But Shark Typhoon is not great. I'm not really interacting early. This just has to be a mulligan.
Alrighty. Well, he takes a mulligan. Hey, Rob, you got any questions from our lovely studio audience? I'm going to still say it's a studio. That feels cool.
I mean, we're in a studio, and they're our audience, so it's the audience for our studio.
Now we just need a laugh track.
but that implies they're in the studio.
Yeah. We can get a laugh track,
We carry their presence with us wherever we go.
I'll get a groan track for all your puns.
Yes, thank you. What do you mean? You guys do that already. You guys do that loud enough already.
We are human groan tracks.
Yeah.
But as far as questions, are either of you streaming in the early access event tomorrow?
Yes, I think I will be.
I will be watching.
Yep. Not going to do it this time?
Nope.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I've always had a good time just trying out the decks. I wish I could play a little best of 3. I think that's my only complaint all the time, as it is just best of 1. But it's nice to test out all the shells we build. And honestly, this is one thing I do. I think there's great tools out there. Yeoman 5, Brian Gottlieb, just every article on SCG for preview season and stuff are great tools to look at. But I just go back on old Versus videos and I'm like, okay, these are the decks I really liked. We didn't have this card, and build it and do stuff like that. So a very good tool if you want to just check out different YouTube videos from us in the past.
Oh man, I think this is going to be a keep, even though it's a risky one.
Okay.
And we're gonna get rid of. It's one of these two that we got to get rid of. Yeah, it's probably the second one of those.
I got a mountain past you.
I have an Ascendant Spirit.
Okay.
Okay, no Frostbite. I like that.
Pretty strong card. I have a Robber coming in, and I got 5 cards.
So do I.
Okay, past you.
I'm at 18. Tilt.
No land?
Attack for 1.
All right. 19.
You're up. Yeah, I kept the 1-lander on the draw. 26 land deck. The list from a while back had ops in it. It was lower land count.
Yeah, I feel like you haven't had a bad draw in so long though, so we're due for one.
Yeah, now you're gonna take out the lands on top of my deck.
Yep. Trigger.
Yeah, there was a land on top, but
okay. Raven form. Okay, I suppose I can't foretell your spells, huh?
I don't think so. Yeah. During your turn, you may pay 2. Exile this card from your hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just take 4.
14.
Past you.
Feel like we're already dead, and now definitely so. Attack for 1. You're at 18.
Oh, my life total's still going down.
That's the turn. Like I said, I just wanted to get the sideboarding.
Yeah, smart. Avoid that. This is one thing that I love is Faceless Haven in our aggro deck. Like, being able to leverage that is quite good.
And this is the reason why I think you're going to see mostly mono-colored snow decks. Just Faceless Haven is such a good payoff.
So good. Attack, double triggers.
Ooh, Graven Lore is even great for you. You have no mana.
Yes, take 4.
I'll go to 10.
Actually, since I got that, I will attempt to Boulder Rush.
Sure, I'll go to 8.
And we'll just play it and pass to you.
And I'm dead.
All right. Yeah, if you had some lands, I didn't have that great of a follow-up. So.
Yeah. I had a bunch of good 2-mana interaction, and I had 1-drop into Omen Keel. I figured that could help me get lands if I just hit the second.
Yep.
But, just never hit the second.
Wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. All right, everyone. We are going to take a short break, and we're going to see what kind of tricks Ross has up his sleeve in that sideboard. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Sideboarding Yard versus Live.
Welcome back to Versus Live, where we are sideboarding in our matchup between Mono Blue Snow and Mono Red Snow. From my side, we've got our anti-aggro package here of Bind the Monster, a card I think is getting a little bit overrated, but is a solidly efficient removal spell. Against a red deck, you're a little scared, but these red decks don't have a ton of reach.
Wait. Are you saying a card that is saying that is going to replace Swords to Plowshard is getting overrated? Excuse me? Yeah, no, I agree. I think that card is a little overhyped, but it does seem interesting.
Yeah, but a solid, efficient removal spell, which is what I need. I'm going to take some damage, but you don't have a lot of reach. If you were a red deck that had more burn spells, lightning strikes, things like that, this card would be a lot scarier, but you generally do have to...
Robert the Rich has reach. I have plenty of creatures with reach.
You generally have to deal the last points of damage in the combat step. Outside of stomps, right?
Yeah.
So this card being able to lock down a threat and have me leave up interaction, on turn 3, I can go Bind the Monster, Essence Scatter, especially if I've started up more aggressive myself, play 1-drop into level Ascendant Spirit, say.
Okay.
So I like that here. I think Icebreaker Kraken is going to be very good as an anti-aggro card.
This card's great.
Yeah, and especially in my deck that has aggressive elements itself, I'm going to be able to play Kraken and actually pressure you. This is my turn the corner card.
Love it.
So, and I think it's very, very good in that role. And then a Null, it's very narrow in application, but you have several things it counters. It counters Embercleave, it counters Annex, and it counters Harnfell, the other side of Virgie. Anytime you can be able to, reliably trade off a 1-mana spell for a 3 to 5 mana spell, that's going to be really valuable. So I am going to bring in the narrow, but
I'm curious how good of an impact this card's going to have, because the thing is, like up against Esper Doom, lights out. It's great.
Yeah.
It's going to hit a lot of things. Up against Gruul Adventures, it hits the very important things. Food decks, it hits trails. Like, it's a dead card against Rogue, so it wouldn't be a main deck thing, but, if it's good in those spots where it is awkward if they just don't play one and they just go Love Struck Beast, kill you, that's a situation where I don't love that kind of card, of course, but it really seems like it's a nice 2-of or something.
Yep. And that's the kind of risk that you need to be taking with blue aggressive decks to beat other aggro decks. You need the narrow but incredibly efficient answers so that you can keep up with them on tempo.
Yep. No, makes sense to me.
Cards like cutting Shark Typhoon, historically bad against aggro, especially mono red. Cutting Graven Lures, also just really expensive. I don't need as much late game card advantage. I still have the Gadwicks, which are much better against aggressive decks. And then trimming 1 Neutralize, I'm bringing in some other counter spells. This is, again, just the most expensive one. I guess I do have 1 Rewind, but Rewind is really nice in that it lets me...
Rewind is actually really good against aggro.
Yes.
You'd think it would be something that you'd want to counter and then play a draw spell against control, and that can happen, but any kind of control mirror, they have disputes, and then it's a liability. So it really is an anti-aggro card, and I'm quite a big fan of Rewind. We're going to be seeing a little bit more of those
Corey, you
style
didn't
of
explain
cards.
your choices.
I'm sorry?
You didn't explain what you're sideboarding.
Oh, I didn't. Wow, okay, my bad. Well, I was just bringing in the escape cards, just bringing in Phoenix of Ash and Ox of Agonis, taking out Torben and Annex. They're both just really clunky spells that benefit, when they are killed, especially Annex. I mean, not so much Torben, but you're not going to be doing any killing of my creatures. You're going to bounce them, you're going to tap them. So Annex's ability to put in satyrs is not very good. So just kind of lowering the curve a little bit and playing some threats that will keep hitting even after they get countered. So sorry about that.
Threats that match up better against counter spells.
Exactly.
You cut the expensive threats that just get countered and don't do anything. Bring in the threats that even if they do get countered, you're gonna have access to them later.
Exactly. All right, let's do it.
Okay, 2 lands, please. Well, at least one of them is an island. I don't want a double Faceless Haven hand here.
Yeah, you gotta be specific. All right.
Yeah, this will be a keep.
Yeah, I can keep as well. It's slightly awkward, or it's a little awkward, but I think it's fine.
Okay. Island pass.
Okay. I have a mountain and pass to you.
Island pass.
Okay. Was not great. I have a land and pass to you.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to cycle this Neutralize.
Okay.
want to make sure I hit my land drops. I have a good amount of interaction in my hand.
Okay.
I'll play an island and pass the turn.
All right. Well, that's not great. I'm going to pass the turn.
You have 7 in hand?
I have 8.
8. Okay. I am not going to play this Brazen Borrower because I think it's going to get frostbited, and I'd rather Corey discard a card.
Okay. That's probably smart. I'm going to discard an Embercleave. My draws were not kind to me. We're having some nice games so far.
I'm going to play an island and pass.
Okay.
There's no reason for me to do anything here. I'm going to let Corey draw a discard as long as possible.
I will play Rimrock Knight. Just want to play a spell here.
Do I care about Rimrock Knight? I really want to just get this down because I think that's my plan for next turn, especially if I don't draw another land. So that's going to leave Corey 1 turn to do something. So I do think I want to interact with this knight. The question is, which of these 2 ways do I want to interact with it?
Also, Corey Hasteas has mentioned, you said you're lowering the curve, but then you bring in 2 3-drops and 2 5-drops for 2 3-drops and 2 4-drops.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I'm going to scatter the Rimrock Knight.
All right, and pass to you.
That's an interesting draw. Yeah, I'm just gonna Gadwick for 2.
Seems strong.
2 cards. Pass the turn.
I'd like a land, believe it or not. Okay, we're on.
Tundra Fumarole, play my spell.
No, because I don't get to play another free spell.
Oh yeah, you don't have Crystal Giant.
Exactly. So we gotta. I'm just happy to hit the land. It's not insane by any means, but now what to play? I think I will just go with Bergie. Pass to you.
That is scary.
Bergie-licious.
My body is too Bergulicious.
No boast to take advantage of with Bergie in this deck, but just for the mana and, acting as an experimental frenzy on the other side.
Okay, I'm going to play a land.
Okay.
I'm going to play a Casima, tap the Bergie, play Ascendant Spirit, also tap it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, with Gadwick. What am I thinking?
Yeah, with Gadwick. And then attack for 3.
I was like, God, I wouldn't be surprised if it just snuck in tap target creature in there as well. So, yeah.
So you at a 17?
Okay.
Pass turn.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start with... I'm going to Thundering Fumarole something. Tundra Funeral, excuse me. I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to go with this to start.
Okay, I'll negate that.
Okay, but I still get a red.
Yeah. Got a Frostbite.
I do have a Frostbite, so I suppose I want to hit... Yeah, we'll hit Gadwick.
You do have the 3 snow permanents, so that's 3 damage.
Yep, so I have another red mana.
Another Frostbite.
Don't have another one. I'll pass to you.
Okay. So I don't have a land in my hand right now. I'm wondering if I want to exile this Casima or just leave it so it can block Bergie. It'll get a little awkward if I draw a land. I think I'm just going to leave it, though.
Okay.
And yeah, that did get awkward.
Okay.
Because now I want to play the land that I drew. Should have thought about that. I forgot this thing doesn't get flying at the first level. I thought it was going to be a 2/3 flyer.
Yeah. Yep.
And I definitely want to be attacking with it, so I'm going to make it a 4/4. So it's going to get a flying counter.
Okay. It
and
flies.
Get in for 4.
All right.
That's going to put you to 13.
13.
Actually, maybe I don't have to Yeah, I actually don't have to live a land. Then I'll just play another Ascendant Spirit and pass.
Sounds good. Untap, a draw. That was perfect. Okay, I have another Thundering Fumarole. So I'm gonna get a red, which is pretty disgusting. Now, just what do I care about here? I think I have to kill this Ascendant Spirit.
Okay, so 3 colorless and a red in pool.
Yep.
Do you have the dragon?
I do not. So... I will just attack with Bergie.
So, you still have the 3 colorless and a red.
Yep.
You could easily have a stomp here and deal with the Kasima and then play Bone Crusher Giant. But I think I'm okay with that, so I'm going to block.
I have Embercleave.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I think 4. Brings me to 16.
All right, and I won't do anything with the rest of the mana and pass to you. Oh, Bergie. One of your few non-snow land, I imagine?
Yep. But that's fine. Definitely going to level this to a 2/3. I think I just get in for 2 here.
11.
Yeah. You do 11.
Okay.
And then pass.
All right. A draw. I will start with a Phoenix of Ash at a red.
Resolves.
Play a land. And I'll go for Thundering Fumarole at a red.
Wow. 3rd Thundering Fumarole is really good. Yep.
Okay. And declare attacks.
Yeah. No blocks.
So I'm just curious, what would happen if you bounce this? Do I still carry over the red? Because they both say that it wouldn't, that mana would not go.
As long as the ability resolves, I don't think it empties.
Okay.
It's not dependent. Otherwise, because then they would have to be separate lines.
Okay. Okay, so no blocks?
You're correct.
So I will. I either want to pump Phoenix here, or in case you have like a Brazen Borrower, leave the mana in my pool so I can recast Bergie. Otherwise, you're taking 8, 9, 10. I think recasting Bergie is better here. So yeah, we'll go with first strike damage. How about that?
So you can recast either creature.
Not true. I don't have real
Yeah, you
red.
can't. Yeah, you don't
Yep.
have.
I have 3 colorless and a red.
That on his face. So you can recast the Bergie.
Yep.
So that does me no good really to. Yeah, I'm gonna bounce the cleave.
Bounce a cleave?
Yeah.
Okay. So now there's no first strike damage, so I will pump.
I'll go to 9.
Okay, your go.
And step play Brazen Borrower.
All right.
A little late there. Need to draw something good. Attack for 3.
Tagging for 3. Okay, I'm down to 8.
Pass the turn.
right, I'm going to... You have 2 cards?
Yep.
I'm going to cast Annex, add a red.
Ooh. You've not played your land for turn?
I have not.
Trying to think what I need to draw here. One of the cards that would be excellent is the Kraken. That's a big one.
Oh, it's big.
But I'm trying to think what else I could potentially draw, because I think I'm dead in 2 turns. I don't think I can draw enough interaction to be able to survive this attack with Borrower, and then survive a second attack and attack you on the crackback.
The Kraken back?
Yes. And like my removal isn't very good. Bind the Monsters is going to deal me a good amount of damage, and Raven Form is going to leave you with a token that at the very least trades with Borrower.
Yep.
So my removal is not very good. I think I'm kind of on Kraken or bust. Maybe the last Gadwick. But I don't really have ops. I would need to like Gadwick and draw into another Borrower, like, you know, Gadwick for 3, Petty Theft something, tap something else, and go from there. That would be pretty good. So I think those are my two outs. And in both cases, this Annex is just not very threatening.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let it resolve.
Okay. Declare attacks.
Sure.
I think I just want to attack with Bergie here to have Phoenix back. You know, if you were to have like another Petty Theft or another Brazen Borrower, I guess it's not putting enough pressure on me. So yeah, maybe that's not true. All right, I will just attack with both.
Okay, and you still have the red floating.
Yep.
I'm going to cycle and neutralize.
Okay.
And yeah, no blocks.
Okay, take 5.
I go to 4.
Yep. Second main, I'll play Annex.
I will respond by scrying 2.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I actually have exactly enough mana to scry on my upkeep to dig for Kraken, because I have another land in hand.
Kraken doesn't tap everything though, right?
Yeah, it taps everything and it doesn't untap.
Oh, it does tap everything.
It frostbite's your team.
Okay, I thought it was just they don't untap. Yeah.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I think I am right. I think we had this discussion.
When Icebreaker Kraken enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step.
Because I'm getting 4 untapped creatures as well.
Yeah, but none of that's fine. Yeah, maybe I needed to deal with... Well, regardless, these are both going on the bottom.
And I go over Kraken, right?
Do you?
Yes.
Do you?
I'm proud of you.
The problem being now I can't scry on my upkeep and Kraken and a null.
Yeah. I think you just have to hope it's that.
Yeah, but and
oh yeah, you can annul this, huh?
Yeah. But I don't think that you're still going to have an Annex attacking.
And you know I have this. So,
yeah. I guess I could annul this and then be able to draw into Gadwick.
Yeah.
But I have 1 Gadwick and 2 Krakens, so yeah, I'm just going to let that resolve still.
Okay, I got 4 Satyrs past you. Get them. The Kraken.
Another island.
Okay.
By scry, put Kasima and draw another island.
Yeah, well, Bergie just looked insane.
Yeah, like you did nothing for several turns.
Yep.
And
first play was Rimrock Knight on turn 3.
Yeah.
Or turn 4, maybe.
And Bergie and Tundra Fumarole completely call you up. There was those 2 cards. Actually, especially Fumarole.
Yeah.
Fumarole was so big because I also just dealt with my spirits. Otherwise,
it was definitely a combination of both, because it was just a 3-mana sorcery removal spell if it wasn't for Bergie, and that wouldn't have been that good because I needed to be progressing.
Yeah. So you did need both.
When I drew land 4, when I was able to Fumarole, then plus just play anything, that was big. I got to go Fumarole into Embercleave, which was awesome. But even if you didn't block, I just have Annex as a play, or Phoenix of Ash. Like, I could have played Phoenix and then attacked and then pumped, but I was hoping maybe you'd block with the Embercleave trick, or I was just going to play Annex because it was a decent threat at the time. But.
Yeah, I think what I needed to do, actually, was the turn you played the 3/1, I think I should have just played Brazen Borrower and attacked you for 3 and left you with the Rimrock and then played Gadwick and not Essence Scattered it. You'd have drawn your 3rd land, but if you play Burgee, I've got you under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And if you don't play Burgee, then I'm going to be able to Essence Scatter it later, and you're not going to be able to deploy your cards in time.
Yeah, I was pretty happy when you countered Rimrock, because I'm like, this card cannot be good right now. But, every threat is a threat against the mono blue deck, because, it's not like you have these Heart's Desires that you're blocking.
To me, it was because I knew I was tapping out the next turn, and I wanted to do something, but I think developing my own battlefield is just as good as stopping yours at that point, because I'm the person who's ahead on tempo, and I leave myself with more interaction back, or at least better interaction in the scatter. So I think the other thing about playing these mono blue decks is like you got to play tight, especially against aggro. So even though I was very fortunate that Corey's draw was so bad early, I think a couple missteps in the way I navigated it gave him the opportunity to get back in the game.
Yeah, mono blue doesn't leave you too much wiggle room in like any iteration of what it is usually, because it just doesn't play from behind. That's the main reason is if you get behind, things snowball out of effect really quickly, especially when you're playing against a snow deck. Then it just snowballs even faster. All right, so we got time for a pity game here. We got a long match for our 3rd one, so we want to get to that on time, but we definitely got time for another. Rob, you got a question for us at all?
I do. Ross, what do you think about Avalanche Caller in your mono blue snow deck?
Avalanche Caller. Remind me what that one is,
That's
Rob.
the 1/3 where you animate and make a 4/4, right?
Yeah, it's two mana, makes it a 4/4.
So a deck with as many counterspells as this one has, you just don't want to commit the mana on your turn. And remember that card looked very impressive in Corey's Sultai deck because if you had Jorn, and that card works really, really well with Jorn. But here, you're just not going to use it early. Maybe it's a sideboard card because it's a reasonable roadblock against aggro. That's where I see it. And then sometimes you can just hold up mana, and your opponent can't really attack into you. But they have to play your counter spells.
It would be great as a card against me. So I think a sideboard is awesome because I just Fervent Champions attacking into that, and then just I just picture even robbers where you get to block it, and then you just make a 4/4 to block something. Just the threat of doing that seems scary, but it does also just leave you open for Embercleave at different opportune moments. So I can see it. But
you animate a 4/4, you block with it, they Embercleave, you annul, and they lose.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Perfect.
So I think that card is a solid option as a sideboard card against aggro. I ended up deciding going with Bind, but I wouldn't be surprised if that one is better.
Fair. All right. Well, this hand is a little bit of a loose goose.
I will keep my hand.
I thought I moved out of North Dakota, but there's still a lot of frostbite here in Virginia.
Well, we're having a snowdown, so there's definitely going to be frostbite. Of
course. Yeah, 1 lander on the draw with 3 frostbites. If I was up against an aggro deck where I know these are going to be great cards, I'd probably be down and I'd probably keep it. But
I'm playing Frost Augur, Omen Keel, the Ascendant Spirit, Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, no, it's
pretty good against
it was reasonable. But
I'm also the kind of deck where if we sit here trading resources early, I'm going to get to start casting some really powerful stuff.
Exactly. I just picture you Gadwicking for 5 against this hand, and I just played my 3rd land and stuff, So
exactly. So that's the key point. Is you might be tempted because you think, oh, Frostbite is a good card in this matchup, and that's when you keep it.
Yeah.
But while Frostbite is a good card, sitting there and trading resources early without generating any pressure of your own is not what Corey wants to be doing.
Not ideal. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep
it's
this
about the
one.
style of gameplay that hand generates and not just the cards itself.
I'm going to keep this one, and I think I'm going to keep the extra land instead of this 1 drop here. It's just so easy to get this card bricked, so I'm going to put it at the bottom.
Okay, I have an island and a pass.
All right. I think I'll just play this Shadow Skull Smashing Tap and pass to you.
I will play an island and Foretell.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just have a land pass.
I have even worse.
Oh, no.
Kept a 2-lander.
I'm going to stomp you.
I'm at 18.
18. And we'll see, what do we want to play into this? I want to play the card I care the least about, since you pretty much have to interact. I'll play a Phoenix.
That resolves.
2.
16.
Your go.
End step, I will cycle and neutralize.
Okay.
Okay, well, we found a land.
Okay.
And I think this is just such a good use for this card that I'm going to go for it. I will bind the monster on the Phoenix.
Makes sense. Take 2.
Go to 14.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
You get a 14. All right. I'm just gonna play Bone Crusher.
Sure.
Past you.
Ugh, man. It's a Ravenform Bone Crusher. I'll take 2.
And I get a 1/1.
You get a 1/1 bird of some kind.
Bird.
So it should be a blue bird, but I think we only have a white one.
Okay, that'll do. So you go to 12.
Yep. Pass the turn.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna play a land. We'll attack for 1.
11.
Then I'm gonna go with Burgee.
Resolves.
And pass to you.
On your end step, I will petty theft the bird.
My bird. Okay, still at your end step.
Stomp me?
No, I'm gonna stomp my Phoenix. Add a red. Filters. I think it's more important to get this card in my graveyard, even though it's not able to be brought back right now. I think just if you counter 2 more spells, getting a Phoenix unlocked seems better than 2 damage.
Yep. I will play a Cosima.
Okay.
Pass the turn. Not been impressed by this side of the card.
Yeah, the other side is definitely where it's at.
Don't really have the capability of playing with the other side.
Yeah. Okay, that was a really interesting draw.
Only 1 in the graveyard?
Yep, only 1. Really interesting draw.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge. Okay.
It's even further away.
We're far away. Now, what do I think you have? I think you have like some annuls and negates. You haven't been doing much, so I kind of want to try to not lean into that. So I'm going to play a land.
It's good. I can't annul or negate that.
Yes, thank you.
Good start.
I'm nailing it, right? Let's go with...
I think that my biggest issue with Cosima is I don't have Fable Passage, so I don't have a way to like exile it and then immediately return it to draw a card.
Yeah.
I wonder if I just want to put 4 Fable Passages in my deck.
I'm going to go with Ox.
Ox.
Yep, add a red.
And you discard your hand and draw a bunch of cards.
If it resolves.
It is going to resolve, but trigger on the stack, I'm going to bounce Burgee.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I still get a red, but now I discard 2 Burgees. Draw 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, pass to you.
Okay, now my Cosima doesn't block the Ox anyway, so I'm just going to exile it, start working my way to get it back.
I lied. I'm going to stomp you. I'm just going to stomp you with that red floating.
Puts me to 9.
Yep. I think that's correct.
I drew a Faceless Haven, which is actually great.
Yep.
So I'll play that and put a counter on the Cosima.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
And then you bring it back.
If I don't put a counter on it, I bring it back with that many +1/+1 counters and draw that many cards.
Okay, cool. All right. I will play a land and attack with the Ox.
And you have 2 cards.
2 cards.
Activate Haven.
Okay.
Block.
Sure. Kill that. I'll play a Bone Crusher.
Resolves.
I'll play a Bone Crusher.
Resolve.
Here go.
That was the worst card in my deck. I'm at 9.
9.
Yeah, I needed to draw another land there. Land would have been excellent. I could bring back a 3/5 draw card.
Oh yeah, you don't bring it back unless you play a land, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a little trickier.
That's the Aquifer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was excellent on the other side when you played it.
Omen Keel's been great.
But yeah.
So I will just play a Frost Augur.
Okay.
And pass the turn.
All right, Frosty. Frosty the Snow Augur. Okay. I will escape Phoenix.
Results.
2 counters.
It's 1 counter, right?
Ross, Tana would like to know if you plan on winning a game today.
If I plan on what? Winning a game. I won the entire first match.
First match, yeah.
Where have you been, Tannen?
I was gonna say.
I just wanted to see Ross get mad at Tannen.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Beginning of combat.
Sure.
Declare attacks.
Before blocks, play Brazen Bar.
Okay, before blocks. Frostbite.
Yep. Block.
All right, take 9.
Yeah, I'm dead.
All right.
You pegged my hand exactly. I just had negated all.
You weren't countering enough stuff, so it really, I had the flip side of Bergie that I could have cast, but I'm like, I wanted to play around that. The play was sick, the bounce.
Yeah, and there's the land.
Bounce Bergie play, but.
If I have the 1 card deeper, I go land, bring back a 3/5, neutralize that.
Yep.
Block, negate your Frostbite to kill this.
Yeah.
If that's your play. Or if you go Shatter Skull, like I just protect it, and then I'm pretty stable.
Mm-hmm,
so
because if that's a 3/5, shutting down Bone Crushers there is definitely rough.
I mean, I'm stable. I haven't pulled ahead at all.
Yes,
and I have
definitely.
like the 1 Brazen Bar that can maybe start plunking in.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty good about the game. Just need to draw land on that turn.
Yeah.
I left in the 1 negate just to continue to be more efficient, and that could be a neutralize, and if it was, it would have been much better.
Or a null, it is most of the cards. You were right. Most of the cards that are my non-creatures, the really important ones do get hit by that, and negate can always just be awkward when every time I have 2 negates in my hand, mono red just goes Fervent Champion into Rimrock Knight into Annex, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm stupid,
Yeah, and that was another game where I missed early land drops. Came pretty close there. Kasima Omen Kill looked good when I played it. I never got the opportunity to play it in this match because I was always behind, and Omen Kill is really only good when you're ahead. So it's possible you just need even heavier anti-aggro sideboard. We didn't see the Kraken come down. That would have been nice as even just a gigantic creature. The fact that your Fumarole kills 4/4 flying Ascendant Spirits, which is kind of the level you want to leave it on, was really nice from your side. So
because you think about that, my 3 mana spell that actually netted me a mana dealt with 6 mana of yours. When you look at it in a mana exchanging way, which this is a very odd situation to look at because Bergie's adding mana, you funneled it into the card when you were not using the rest of the mana. So it's a wild, comparison. But when you look at it like that, it is kind of wild. I netted a mana to kill your creature that you paid 6 mana for. That's always a bad exchange. But that just, Fumarole, to me, it was good enough in a deck or in a matchup where I don't think it should be insane, but when you put it up against a matchup where it should be really good, like your Abzan Party or something earlier, I just think that card could be really, really strong. Or in an Is It Shell, I think that's what we've tried to look at before.
Yeah.
Is It Giants with Bergie and Fumarole, Snow Giants or something could be really cool with Cosmos and
the real big thing is as long as you have the synergy with Bergie, having some red mana to go along with all the colorless it makes, so allow you to tap out for it is really, really nice.
Or on turn 4 if you just have a red source.
Yeah, it could accelerating you to a 5-drop.
Or Crystalline Giant or something like that.
Now your 4 damage removal spell was -1 mana, which is pretty ridiculous.
That's pretty good.
I lost every game here, which obviously is less than ideal, but I feel like I'm close. The aggro matchups for this deck are definitely going to need work. You need to be on point. I think this deck is going to be quite good against any sort of Yorion deck that's just tapping out a lot on its main phase.
Agree, yeah.
Even the slower aggressive decks, like the green decks that aren't coming out as quickly, don't have as much removal. I'm going to be happier playing against with this deck.
Like food.
Yeah. Mono green food is definitely the prime example.
Adventure style decks is going to be rough.
I would be interested. I'm not sure how the rogues matchup would go. I don't really have good ways to deal with my graveyard. I've got efficient counter spells, but so do they. They have efficient removal. Like, how does that, like, I think that's the key for this deck, because I think your aggro matchups, you know, you're going to have to work, you need to figure out how to make them close.
Yeah.
They're not going to be great, especially red aggro.
I think Crab would actually be the scariest card out of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You know?
Your mid-range matchups are going to be pretty good. And how good are you against rogues? If I can be good against rogues, then this looks like a pretty good deck, especially good in aggro light metagames. So that's sort of the next step, the 2 steps for me is like figure out the rogues matchup and maximize my aggro matchup. Figure out, like, that's really about figuring out my sideboard.
Yeah. Nope, that makes sense. But all right, that was a pretty sweet match, Rob. We'll take one question from you if you got it, and then we'll get to our third and final match.
Yeah, what matchup is the Tybalt's Trickery for?
Yeah, we were kind of discussing that too. I was like, oh, this card doesn't seem great to me, but what it really does seem like it could be quite good against is like Shatter the Sky, Extinction Event, Shadow's Verdict, stuff like
sweepers.
that. Yeah, just any sweepers where that spell matters so much. But I agree. I think this is a card, maybe that Todd put in here to show that it could be used against that. None of us really know if it actually is going to be good in that situation, because giving your opponent a free spell has been a gigantic cost.
Yeah.
You know,
you never know. Like, sometimes you might counter one sweeper and you flip them into an Ugin and, you know, it gets even worse. or Gargaroth or something. So, there's risk there, but obviously, like, that card is meant to be casting. It was meant to be countering whatever their most threatening thing is, because then you know they're never going to get anything worse.
Yes.
You're going to turn it as, and if those things against red are usually sweepers or Gargaroths, right?
Yeah, and if they're a Yorion deck, if they're flipping into golden eggs and stuff, you're like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
I think it's really just for the degenerates of the world who like to just gamble while they play Magic.
So Todd Anderson.
So Todd Anderson, that's why it was a perfect deck in his article, which you can check out right now on SCG Premium. All right, that's going to do it for this match. We're going to get to our third match because we do have a spicy one. I'm going to be playing a deck that LSV tweeted about, and it is just an update on Dimir Control. Dimir Control with Yorion, but it just like, the Yorion is so...
it just came along for free.
It just came along for the ride. You got some Solemn Simulacrums to blink and stuff.
Yorion's an acquaintance, not a real companion.
Exactly. This is a Yorion deck. This is just a nice control deck that happens to just have a playful Bird Serpent hanging around.
And I'm going to be playing a Jund Sacrifice deck. I'm going to be exploring the Immerstorm Predator Asika's Chariot interaction that we saw work really well last week in Jund Dragons, just taking it into very traditional Jund Sacrifice direction.
Cool.
And be sure to keep in mind that if you like the decks that we're playing and want to get your hands on some of these Kaldheim cards, you can find them all at starcitygames.com/previews.
Get a hold of those nice, sweet Magic cards.
So we need a 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break and we will do some more battling. I couldn't get enough snow, so I'm gonna play some more Snowlands. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go warm up. I'm moving down south.
Okay.